Hello viewers, welcome to the session. Today's session is on Aitareya Upanishad. It is also an important Upanishad and it comes under the category of 108 Muktika canon, which is enumerated by Sri Adi Shankara, one of the the most important proponents on Upanishadic philosophy. And this Upanishad is part of Rig Veda, which is considered as one of the ancient among all the four Vedas. And it is said that it is somewhere written, around 1000 before Common Era BCE. And this Upanishad, it consists of one Mahavakya, that is Prajnanam Brahma. It means knowledge is Brahman, means knowledge itself is Brahman. So in the previous episodes also we came to know that knower of the Brahman, knower of the Atman, knower of the self becomes the self. So here Prajnanam Brahma means the knowledge about the Brahma itself is Brahman. So knowledge and the Brahman both are not separated, both are of single entity. And apart from that, this Upanishad is also consists of a question that is one of the most crucial question, based on which entire philosophy is, entire theology, entire spiritual inquiry is based upon that question. That is, who am I? So, who am I and Prajnanam Brahma both are important aspects of this Aitareya Upanishad. And this Upanishad consists of 33 verses. So it's not a long Upanishad, but it is crisp, it is direct, and it explains about the creation. So it says that in the beginning nothing was there. In the beginning Atman was there. So Atman alone is there. So then that Atman, we can take that Atman as a Brahman also. So that Atman, which we can call universal self, which we can call Brahman. So that Atman, it decides himself or decides itself that let me create creation, let me create something, let me create that the process of creation shall begin. So with that decision, that inactive Atman becomes the active in its manifestation. So Atman is inactive without any manifestation. So when the manifestation comes into being, when other forms of that life force begins to sprout, begins to be created, so this Atman or this inactive Atman becomes active in its manifestations. So without creation, the source of creation will remain inactive. So the source of creation will become active in its aspects of creativity. So that what this Aitareya Upanishad wanted to say. And apart from that, one of the important things is Aitareya Upanishad also discusses some important aspects of pedagogy, means how a child shall be nurtured. So according to this Aitareya Upanishad, it is stated that it is parents' responsibility to nurture, to take care of the child and see that child shall grow into a perfect human being. So the greatest responsibility in upbringing of the child lies on the parents. So it is said that when a mother gives birth to child, that is not the only birth the child takes up. So when he becomes into a full-fledged human being, a successful human being, means not in terms of materialistic wealth, but in terms of spiritual understanding, spiritual maturity. So that is also one second birth. So first birth mother gives. So parents together, both father and mother, nurture child with care, with attention, with focus, so that the child can progress and become a spiritually mature adult. So when that spiritually matured adulthood is achieved by an individual, that is the individual's second birth. And it is stated that, for instance, when the soul leads the body, that goes into transmigration, means from one body to another body. So when the soul departs a body, departs a mortal frame, body means mortal frame. So when soul departs that mortal frame, it finds its home in another mortal frame. So that what is the departure is called transmigration. So that transmigration itself is also a birth. So that is the third birth of a child, means third birth of a human being. So in this way, different stages of the birth aspect is discussed in Aitareya Upanishad. And next it says that one of the important comment is given by Aitareya Upanishad Bhashyam. In Aitareya Upanishad Bhashyam, it is given by Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya says that you are the Atman and you have to worship yourself. See how beautifully he is saying. You have to worship yourself. You have to worship yourself does not mean you have to do some sort of ritual to yourself. Means you have to respect yourself, because Atman is present in you and you are the Atman. When he says you, means you does not mean your physical feature. You does not mean you do not mean your mortal frame, your hand, your upper limbs or lower limbs, your facial features. When Adi Shankara says that you means the Atman which is present in the mortal frame, which is immortal. So by understanding the immortal, the self become immortal. So worshipping the self, yourself. So that is very much important. Respecting yourself is that much very important. So yoga says, Ashtanga, whatever Ashtanga yoga says, Hatha yoga says, Raja yoga says. So many streams of yogic practices, they reveal that this human body, human mind, human mechanism and human psychic abilities, whatever panchakoshas we have, they are of supreme importance, and it is our responsibility to take care in a perfect manner. We have to take care of them. We have to nurture them. For Annamaya Kosha, we may take good food, but Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, our thought patterns, our spiritual maturity, and acquisition of knowledge, jnana, and our actions, karma yoga. So all these things are nothing but they are worshipping our own self. So that is what Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya says about worship yourself, because you are the self. So that is one of the another important aspect of this Aitareya Upanishad. And it also says that it gives some important glimpses of creation. It says that self created rain, out of rain created sun, out of sun death has come, and out of the death and the earth has come. So it says that on the planet Earth, birth and death of a human being is being taken place. So for that birth and death, the Panchabhutas are aiding to it. So Panchabhutas are helping for the creation, and they are also helping for the destruction, and they are also helping for the preservation. So these creation, preservation and destruction, these are happening on the planet Earth for physical mortal frame, and they are those three aspects of life on planet Earth are sustained by Panchabhutas. Here what Aitareya Upanishad wanted to say, and it says that when initially Purusha is created, Purusha does not mean here human being or man. So Purusham means a tattva, means that is the seed of the creation, seed of the creation of the human being. So that is Purusha. So when that Purusha, that aspect, how it is created. So first of all, senses came into being. Senses means, for example, mouth represented by fire. So that is speech. And next, nostrils breathe air. And next, eyes, sun, symbolizes sight. So, and ears, space, so symbolizes auditory sense. And next, hair, skin, plant. So all those things came into being. And it says that heart is the place where mind lies. And here you see how wonderful it is saying. Heart is the place where mind lies. Means thought process begins from the heart, not from the brain. Aitareya Upanishad says. And that is the mind. Heart is the mind, Aitareya Upanishad says. I have done little bit inquiry on this aspect of Aitareya Upanishad's comment. Since 1960s, open heart surgeries are being done. Heart replacement surgeries. In 1992, an important research was conducted on the patients who underwent open heart surgeries, heart replacement. So, one lady, she receives a heart because her own heart was incapable to sustain life. So, that her own heart was replaced, and another new heart, means maybe another person, that is another person's heart, that heart is fixed for her life to sustain. And after the successful completion of the operation, heart replacement operation, she recouped her health. She recovered her health. And when she gained senses, she felt very much hungry. She asks the doctor, "Doctor, I feel very much hungry, I need food." So doctor says, "Okay, the hospital staff would give you food, and it would be safe, and you will be looked after well, don't worry." But she says that, no, I don't want that food, I want KFC chicken. She was not interested before her heart transplantation surgery. She was not interested in eating chicken and eating that KFC chicken particularly. But to her amazement, her entire body is, her entire mind is craving to eat that particular chicken dish. So it was a bizarre incident for her, and she wanted to do some research. Why immediately after this heart transplantation, not only this, many habits have been drastically changed in herself. So she conducted some research, because whoever donates heart, that would be kept secret under seal. So with some sort of help, she traced the donor's relatives. The donor was a male, and he died in an accident. So after that accident, his heart is given to her, and she, with much difficulty, she finds his address, and she goes to his home. His parents were there, and she initiated a talk, and they started to tell about their son. And in between the talk, she asked his food habits, and they said that he liked that particular KFC chicken very much, and he used to take very much frequently. That was his food habit. So then she realized that is the reason why she was craving to eat that particular dish. And it is also scientifically, it is also established that heart contains some sort of neurological tissue. That tissue stores its own information, stores its own thought process. In another incident, a child, 8-year child, receives a heart of another child. When she gains her senses after transplantation surgery, she remembers how that child died. That donor child was killed actually by a criminal. So this child who receives the heart, she remembers even the face, she recalls the face of that murderer. And with forensic artists, with the help of forensic artists, that criminal's facial features are also drawn on paper. And that criminal was arrested. And that criminal, when he was asked about the murder, he broke down and revealed the truth. And before killing the child, whatever talk he uttered, whatever speech he uttered, even that speech is also she gained that capacity to utter the exact words. So that ability she gained through the heart which she received from the murdered child. So these are scientifically proven evidence-based discoveries. So Aitareya Upanishad 1000 years ago, it is saying that at the place of heart, mind lies, and from that mind thought process begins, thought process continues. So that is the specialty. And here it says that incoming breath is life, outgoing breath is death. So there is a process of continuous life and death is happening. So death is not something which is ultimately would happen at the end of some time. No, it is continuous process, life and death. And it says that outgoing breath is located at the navel point, and through that navel point outgoing breath and the death goes out. So that here you wanted to say. And it also, Aitareya Upanishad says that Brahman created hunger. And when Purushatva was created, Purushatva was offered a cow. And Purushatva rejected that cow. Means Purushatva, before in front of Purushatva, a cow's body is offered. So Purusha rejected that cow's body. And after that a horse body is offered. And that Purushatva, Purusha, rejected to take that horse body. And after that, a human being's body is offered to that Purushatva. And then Purushatva or Purusha, that says that this is the perfect body for me. So that Aitareya Upanishad says that human being is the pinnacle of evolutionary process. Even modern science also proves that human being is the zenith, topmost point of the evolutionary ladder. From now onwards, the nature cannot make us progress with the process of evolution. From single cell to this human being, it is nature's responsibility for the evolutionary process, to make the evolutionary process successful and continuous. From now onwards, that begins spiritual progress. It lies on us. It is our individual's choice. That is called free will. It is your choice. Nobody would force you. It is up to you whether to progress or to remain at this level. But we have to be ready for its consequences also. Because a great option is given to us to choose the most wonderful spiritual progress. That is by realizing the self, realizing the Atman, gaining the knowledge of Atman. Because gaining the knowledge of Atman makes you the Atman, makes you the Brahman. And knowing the Brahman makes the Brahman. So where the Brahman lies in the knowledge of the Brahman. So that's why it says that the question is posed in Aitareya Upanishad. Who is that self we worship? Okay, we are worshipping the self, we are worshipping the Brahman, we are worshipping the Atman. Who is he actually? So the answer comes, the answer says that eyes sees not, ears hear not, nose smells not, but the Atman sees through the eyes, the Atman hears through the ears, Atman smells through the nose. So here wonderfully it says that Atman knows the thought. Means behind the creation of a thought, the presence of Atman is there. So with the help of the Atman, the thought, even the thought is also being produced. So that is Aitareya Upanishad. So everything is in Parabrahma. Everything is in Atman.